Hi. So I'm going to be reading from Magium today. Last time I tried reading, I started chapter 7 and then I was super sleepy and didn't do a very good job reading it and didn't finish, and I forgot to start recording it, so I think I'm going to start at the beginning of chapter 7 this time. For anyone that is interested in reading the story on making different choices, it is free on both Android and Apple products, so I strongly recommend it. It's a very good book, very good story. The ad is new. Why did it start doing that? Yeah, I don't know why it's doing the ad. It's never done that before. Bro, why? Whoa. Oh, that's distracting and annoying. Okay. I mean, maybe. I've never noticed it being haunted, but you never know. What the fuck? Hang on, let me figure this out. What happened? For whatever reason, it's not. Only 2 of my saves, and not my most recent check-in, are there. which is not correct. And I don't know if I want to. I mean, it's chapter 6. And did it just crash on me? Great. Sue over a free game, losing its saves. I don't think so. Let's see. I think BlueStacks is the one that's at fault, not the game. Alright, I guess we'll start from here. As Rose talks, I hear 3 loud beeps coming from my pocket. I pull out my stat device and am surprised to see that the maximum numbers for my stats have now been increased to 4. What's that? Rose asks. It's a toy, Darren says before I get a chance to reply. You know those magical devices that simulate a pet in order to teach little kids about responsibilities? Those beeps you heard were Perry's pet getting hungry. Oh, I love those toys. Ever since I got one for my little sister, I just couldn't keep her apart from it. Ignore Darren, Kate says. He was just being a smartass. What Barry has there is a stat booster. He's using it to harness magical energy from the air, which he can then use to augment oh god, this mouse. which he can then use to augment his physical abilities. Rose looks impressed. Wow, I did not know such a thing was possible. So that device is basically turning you into a mage. I never really thought about it this way. It's true that there are some mages that actually do use their magic to augment their powers in a similar way that this device does. Does that make me one of them? I suppose, I answer her, but it's only temporary. The device will run out of energy once I'm no longer surrounded by all these powerful mages to extract it from. I take a look at my stat booster and start to think of what I should spend my newly acquired points on. Invest points now. Observation and ancient languages, definitely. And I'll leave the other ones there for now. As I finish using my device, Rose asks me another question. Wait, so if your stat booster extracts magical energy from other mages, does that mean it's also eating away at Darren and Kate's powers? It's getting a bit of energy from every mage in a 30-mile radius, and the amount it takes from each of them is barely enough to mildly inconvenience them. Most of the energy it's getting is from the powerful spells that have been cast around us since the beginning of this tournament, and that energy would have just dissipated into thin air anyway, so you could just say I'm recycling it rather than stealing it. I think that I get interrupted by a very loud roar that echoes all around us. Please stop, mouse. A second louder roar now booms through the air, and I feel my hair stand up on the back of my neck. I've never heard this sound before in my life. I have no idea what beast might be causing it. So what is this sudden feeling of dread I'm getting all of a sudden? Why do I find myself wanting to run as fast as I can in any direction as long as it gets me as far away from this place as possible? Shortly after the second roar ended, a very powerful wind started to blow towards us. I can almost feel it trying to lift me in the air. The trees are barely holding up, and it looks as if they could get pulled out of their roots at any moment. We're lucky this is happening while we were in a clearing, because otherwise we would have had to also protect ourselves from falling trees while trying to hold our ground against this relentless force of the wind. As some of the trees start to fall, a monstrous figure makes its appearance high above us. It's at least 50 foot tall, with very rough-looking scales, covering its entire body, and wings like the size the size of sails on a long ship. Its claws look as sharp as blades, and its fangs are bared at us menacingly. But its overall appearance is not much different from that of an overgrown lizard. A dragon. They really exist. They really existed. And is this all happening because of my disappointment for not encountering any mythical creatures so far? If that's the case, then I take it back. I take it all back. Just please let this be a dream. Let this all just be the end of a bad dream before I wake up back at our cave, and then we can start our journey anew. Get down! Darren shouts at us as the dragon gets closer and then lands a few dozen feet in front of us, making the whole ground tremble violently under its weight. No, Rose says, unable to control her shivering and barely able to keep her balance anymore. This can't be happening. This can't be happening. The dragon looks around us as if it were trying to find something, and then it shouts loudly in the common tongue. Where is he? Seeing that none of us are answering, the dragon asks us again, this time giving us a few more details. The Stillwater! Where is he? You reek of his stench. Where are you hiding him? If you're talking about Eden, he left this morning. We're not working with him. We only just met him a few hours ago. Why are you looking for him? Thank you for the hydrate. Lotus, hey, how's it going? Yeah. I'm reading. Would you like to stick around for story time? It's being glitchy. So, between these three options, I'm thinking if you're talking about Eden. Well, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate seeing you. It's good to see you. Most of my viewers are going to sleep right now, anyways. That's sort of why they listen to me read. Or just listen to my streams in general. You didn't redeem anything. But sure, I'll hydrate again even though you're cheating. Fair enough. No, I enjoy reading to you guys. So, it's all good. I'm glad that my people find my voice soothing. If you're talking about Eden, he left this morning. I asked you where he is, not when he left, you stupid lowly creature. We don't know where he went. He didn't tell us. Then you are useless to me. The dragon growls before it continues. I should have known that I'd be wasting my time trying to communicate with the likes of you. If only that Stillwater would have minded his own business after he returned to the continent instead of writing that accursed message in the sky, I'd have left him be. I suddenly remember the message that was written in the stars last night. That was Eden's doing? Wait, so you actually do know where so you actually do know the location of the Magium? The dragon stops and he eyes me for a few seconds before he continues. So you're a dragon hunter then? Wait, what? You are a fool for challenging me on my own territory, dragon hunter. I've killed hundreds of your kind in the last millennia. I've watched your pathetic human race fumble their way through life ever since they stopped walking on four legs. I could have killed or enslaved you all at any point in your miserable existence if it weren't beneath me. But now you dare rise against me? Your charred remains will serve as my gift for Eden, to welcome him back to my realm. The dragon soars into the sky as it shouts its final words to us. Pray to your gods, humans. They're the only ones that can save you from the onslaught that will follow. Quick, everyone get behind me, Darren shouts as he raises his shield, and a semi-transparent magical barrier starts to form around us. Kate doubles up our protection by also making a dome of thick ice to surround us. The dragon who has now raised himself to a sufficiently high altitude unleashes a downpour of flames upon us. As the flames collide with our protections, we start to feel the air heating up all around us. Kate's ice has already melted away, and all that's standing between us and the torrent of fire is Darren's magical barrier. Rose is now sitting on the ground with a terrified look in her eyes, hugging her legs and shaking violently. Rose! Kate yells at her. Snap out of it! We'll need to be ready to get out of here as soon as Darren's barrier breaks. Do you hear me? The dragon's flames have suddenly stopped. Looking up to see what happened, I'm terrified to learn that the monster is now quickly diving towards us. Kate tries to make another wall of ice between us and the dragon, but it breaks through in a second, and then clashes with Darian's magical barrier, shattering it in an instant. The dragon then grabs Darren in one of its claws and soars back up into the sky. We can hear Darren's screams as the giant lizard tries to crush him. Sounds like a plan, Lotus. Thank you for lurking and listening. Kate launches several hundred sharp ice blades towards the dragon, but they simply bounce off its armored scales. Kate! Darren shouts from the distance. Can you make a slide for me? Yes, Kate shouts back as she quickly builds an ice slide that starts below him and ends on the ground next to us. Once he sees the slide finished, Darren furiously thrusts his sword into the dragon's claw as it starts to scream in pain and drops him right on the slide that's been custom made for him. Just as Darren finishes sliding down, the dragon uses his fire breath again, this time aiming directly for Kate. She makes a large, thick shield of ice float above her in order to provide her cover. As the flames and ice clash, I can see that Kate is making a great effort to keep the fire back. Darren quickly rushes to her position and provides her with cover before her ice melts away. Unfortunately, the fire has weakened him as well, and he does not manage to hold the barrier for long. His barrier breaks and his shield drops to the ground right when the dragon finishes its attack. The explosion of air generated by the destruction of Darren's barrier sent Rose flying, and she hit her head on a rock. She is now lying on the ground, motionless. Think, Barry, think. What can you do to turn the tide? There has to be something. There has to be a way to use everything you know to your advantage. There has to be a way. Think. It's over, humans, the dragon shouts triumphantly from high above. Your era is at an end. I am going to exterminate every single one of you until all that remains of your race is a forgotten memory. And I'm saving Eden for last. It's no use. My stat device is worthless here. Even if I had all of my stats maxed out, I wouldn't stand a chance. This was all over before it began. As the dragon's flames pour down on us, I close my eyes, awaiting for my impending doom. After a few seconds of keeping my eyes closed, I realize that I'm still alive. I open my eyes back up and find out to my surprise that the dragon's flames have stopped in midair, a few inches before reaching us, as if they were frozen. But that is not all. Looking around me, I see that everything else is frozen too. Darren, Kate, Rose are all standing completely still, and I can't even feel the wind anymore. Seriously now, I hear a familiar voice behind me. How could I have let him win after saying a line like that? I turn around and see Eden standing behind me with his eyes closed as usual and a smile on his face. I mean, I don't think I've even read a children's book where the main villain gloats to such an extent. It's embarrassing, really. Where have you been hiding all this time? What did you do? Or why did you save us? It's pretty obvious he froze time. He said why he saved us. So I'll go with, where have you been hiding all this time? Now, Barry, Barry, is this any way to talk to your savior? To answer your question, I've been following this dragon for a while now. I've been masking my presence so that he couldn't find me by using his sight, smell, hearing, or magical sense. I've been watching your battle since it began, and I must say, I'm not very impressed. Are you kidding me? What do you expect me to do against a dragon? How about using that device you're holding in your hand? Yeah, and what would you have me do? Max my strength and punch him to death? Excuse me, sir? Me and Eden both turn around at the same time and see Rose is standing up and looking at Eden confused. Hi. My name is Rose. Are you a friend of Barry? God, this mouse sucks. Eden furrows his brows and makes a hand gesture towards Rose. What are you doing? Rose asks him. Interesting, Eden says. Rose, I've cast a spell that's supposed to freeze time for you. That is supposed to freeze time for everyone except me and Barry. Have you by any chance studied time magic in your lifetime? No. I can't cast any magic at all. I'm not a mage. Eden's smile widens. Then I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of this moment, you are officially a time weaver. What? Eden turns to me. Barry, I must admit, I don't think I've ever seen such diversity in a team before. A time weaver, a healer in armor, a survivor from the Beacon of Hope, and a stat device wielder. I think I'm starting to root for you. Good, then maybe you can finish off that dragon for us. What is a time weaver? Or what's so special about being a stat device wielder? Well, obviously he's not going to finish the dragon off for us. I'm going to go with what's so special about being a stat device wielder? It's more special than you think. You are one of the rare cases that can utilize this device to its full potential. Not many can boast such a feat. Allow me to demonstrate. Eden snaps his fingers, and my stat device flies out of my hand and into his. The device then suddenly starts glowing, and it looks like it's accumulating a massive amount of energy in a very short amount of time. Hey! I realize this must all be very confusing for you, Barry, so I'm going to provide you with just a little bit of context. The beast that just attacked you is Tyrath, the self-proclaimed king of all dragons. The reason he is looking for me is because I wrote a message in the stars last night in an ancient language that is primarily used by dragon hunters. The message's purpose was to let all dragon hunters who entered this contest know that a dragon exists on this island and to give them a little extra incentive to hunt him down. I very much doubt that any of them will pose a realistic threat to him, but it'll be fun to watch. Hello, Jesus, Jesus, ZP. How are you doing tonight? But it will be fun to watch. He finishes charging up my stat device and then hands it back to me. As I hold it in my hand, I can feel a sudden surge of magical energy. I can feel a powerful surge of magical energy run through me and flow throughout all of my body. I believe your ultimate goal was to win this tournament and become a mage, was it not? Well, Barry, I am now giving you a taste of that power. For about 5 minutes, you will have magical powers comparable to mine. More than enough to drive off the dragon, I'll wager. All All of the information you need in order to use your powers should have been transferred into your mind by the stat device. I'm looking forward to watching your battle. Eden then starts to fade into thin air. When only his outline is visible anymore, he says, "Oh, and I'd recommend starting with the magical barrier. Your friends don't seem to be doing very well." As Eden vanishes completely, time is slowly starting to resume its course. I take the Stillwater's advice and quickly conjure a protective barrier around Kate and Darren. It's amazing how natural this feeling. It's amazing how natural this is feeling. It's as if I've been casting spells my entire life. Is this really the true power of my stat device? Just as I finish casting my spell, time unfreezes itself, and the dragon's fire hits my magical barrier head-on. The flames then disperse into the air, while Kate looks around her, shocked at the discovery of the newly formed barrier protecting her. "Darren, did you?" "No, it wasn't me. This barrier is leagues stronger than anything I could ever conjure. I don't know who did this." "You!" the dragon Tyrath shouts from high above the sky, while pointing at me. "You did this! It does not matter. All you've managed to achieve is to make yourself my next target. Prepare to die." I conjure another protective barrier around me and Rose just in time to defend us from the incoming flames. My barrier is holding up much better than Darren's. There's no sign of it breaking anytime soon, and I'm barely even feeling the heat outside of it. The question is, what am I going to do now? Looking at my device, I can see my stats have remained exactly the same, and I have no extra available points, so then what did Eden do to it? I'll need to figure this out later. At any rate, judging by the amount of extra energy I can sense in the stat device and the speed at which it's getting consumed, I'd say that the estimate Eden gave me is spot on. I have less than 5 minutes to finish this fight, but even with all this magical power, the dragon may well pulverize me in a one-on-one fight if I don't do this right. Both Darren and Kate are too exhausted to assist me, so I'm on my own for the time being. Even as I'm standing here thinking, time is running out, but can I afford to just start fighting without any plan whatsoever? No time to think. I'll improvise or make a plan before engaging the dragon. So I am trying to do a smart, good playa run through with Barry, but it's not really Barry if he just sits there and thinks things out, so I'm gonna make a plan before engaging the dragon. Going in without a plan would be suicidal. Oh, that's not what I meant to click. Whatever. I didn't want to make a plan, but that's what I clicked. Going in without a plan would be suicidal. I'll just have to use this time as efficiently as I can. First of all, I need to think about my defenses. I now have access to dozens of powerful protection spells, but it would take me 3 minutes to cast all of them. Even if I use the time freezing spell Eden cast just now, it would still only save me about 2 minutes, and I'll become unable to use the spell for the remainder of the battle. Then again, the time-stopping spell isn't really suited for combat, since the spell breaks as soon as I move a few feet or interact with anyone who's frozen. So this may well be the best time to use it. Or maybe I should try to limit casting to only what is absolutely necessary. Let's see. The one thing I'll need the most is protection from fire. I can't just spend my whole fight trapped inside this barrier, and this spell will grant me some immunity from flames. It'll still feel like I'm in an oven, but at least I won't be burnt to a crisp. Aside from that, judging by how I've seen the dragon fight so far, I think I could also use some protection from physical damage to defend me from his claw attacks. It won't be enough to stop him from killing me if he lands a strike, but maybe it'll help me deflect some of his hits. The strong wind he can generate with his wings might also be a problem. It felt like I was trying to fight a hurricane when the dragon first made his appearance, so I guess I could also use some spells that give me protection from wind. Other than that, it's anyone's guess. It is said that some of the older dragons can cast magic, but I do not know if Tyrath is one of them. More than that, I have no way of knowing which kind of magic he'll be specializing in. I'm going to have to decide which protection spells I cast in the limited time I have at my disposal. Cast just protection from fire, no time for anything else. Cast protection from fire, wind, and physical damage. Or freeze time, then cast all of the protective spells I know, just to be sure. Well, if I'm going with a plan, yeah, full shebang. Freeze time, then cast all of the protection spells I know, just to be sure. The dragon sees that his fire breath isn't working, so he tries to dive in again. My barrier is too strong to be broken as easily as Darren's, though, so he'll be busy for a while. Now that I've established my defensive strategy, I need to think about the offensive. With the spells I have access to now, I have almost limitless choices, but I'll have to think of a tactic that can defeat Tyrath in the few minutes I have left. I'm going to definitely need to cast a flight spell on myself, since it will be too difficult to engage the dragon otherwise. The thing I'm lacking the most here is information about my enemy. All I have to go on are legends and fairy tales, and I'm not sure how much I can rely on any of them in this situation. One thing that most legends agree on is that dragons have a high elemental resistance to fire, and that they are immune to mind-affecting spells and illusions. Other than that, I have no idea which spells would work best. I already know that Kate's ice didn't really hurt the dragon, but maybe water would be a better choice? Water is, after all, the opposing element to fire. Actually, forget water. If I am to try elemental magic, I may as well try them all, except fire, of course. Darren's sword seemed to at least be able to get through the dragon's tough scales, but I do not know what enchantments he has on it. Maybe I could persuade him to give me a sword for the duration of this battle, and then I can fight Tyrath head on. The downside to this plan is that I don't seem to have a strength-enhancing spell in my repertoire, so the power of my swing would depend entirely on my strength stat. Shape-shifting magic is pretty useless in this situation because of two main reasons. First of all, the spells cannot be used to transform into something much bigger than my actual size, so it's not like I can just turn into a dragon and fight Tyrath on equal footing. Secondly, you cannot cast spells while shape-shifted, so my mobility would be greatly reduced because I couldn't teleport. It's just not worth it in any way I look at. Using summoning magic is out of the question as well, since none of these spells were designed to fight an enemy of this caliber. The most any of the summoned creatures could do is moderately inconvenience Tyrath or provide me a distraction. Maybe I'm thinking too small of a scale, though. With the powers I have at my disposal right now, I could be doing a lot more damage. I could literally make a tornado out of thin air, or use earth magic to animate a rock giant that would dwarf the dragon and who could smash him between its hands. I could also make a blizzard, a lightning storm, a rain of acid, and even a rain of meteorites. The problem with all of these big spells is that it's almost impossible to prevent collateral damage, so I'd be forced to cast a lot of protections on Darren, Kate, Rose, and even myself beforehand to make sure we're all safe, which would take me about a minute. The time freezing spell wouldn't save me much time in this case, since we're relatively far apart from each other and moving would cancel the time stopping effect. Half a minute of my time is already up. I need to decide fast. Use elemental magic. Ask Darren for a sword. Hit the dragon with the big spells. Let's hit the dragon with the big spells. I'll start off by freezing time, and then I proceed to cast every single protection spell I know on myself, as well as a flight spell. Next, I cast the necessary protection spells on Rose, and head for Darren and Kate. Barry, what happened? Darren asks me as I reach them. This magic power radiating from you, it's insane. I'll explain later. I don't have much time, and I'll need to concentrate as much as possible on casting these protection spells. As I finish casting the spells on the three of us, I fly out of the barrier to face the dragon. Finally, I can go all out now. I raise my hand in the air and feel all of my magical power flow through me. This is what I've always wanted. This is what I've been looking for all my life. I'm not going to let one single dragon stand in my way. I start by creating a tornado. The wind around me is so strong that it's literally breaking chunks of rock from the ground and making them fly around me, clashing with trees that are getting uprooted one by one. It's almost like a scenario from a horror book. The dragon is struggling to keep himself airborne, while my protections from wind are allowing me to fly through the currents with ease. Next, I use my earth magic to animate a giant made out of rock. The ground trembles violently as an enormous rock golem rises from it slowly, making it seem like it had been simply sleeping all of this time. Once it gets up, I can see that the giant measures at an impressive 200 feet, and once it spots the dragon, it uses its huge hands to crush him between them. Tyrath lets out a deafening roar, a roar so powerful it creates an explosion of air all around him, and it actually shatters the giant's hands, setting the dragon free. That was so loud it could have made me lose consciousness were it not for my protections against sonic attacks. I can only hope Darren and the others have access to sonic protection as well. Even though he managed to get out, it's clear that Tyrath has taken a lot of damage from my last attack. He's now breathing fire hotter than ever before, engulfing my rock giant in flames and turning him into molten lava. Try all you want, little dragon, but you won't escape my grasp. Nothing can stop me now. Dozens of volcanoes are starting to erupt from the earth below as I use even more magical power. This time to call upon a rain of acid. The dragon screams as the acid burns through its wings, and he starts to desperately shoot fire everywhere above him in order to burn all of the acid before it reaches him. I teleport next to Tyrath and point my palms towards him, blowing him away with a powerful explosion of air that stuns him for a few seconds. Since I've interrupted him from burning the drops of acid, the rain is now once more pouring on him, and the dragon starts to scream in pain again. It's over. He's no match for me. The time I have left will be more than enough to finish him off for good. Achievement unlocked. Defeated Tyrath. Suddenly, the whole arena gets covered in a blue light, and I'm starting to feel an immense magical power coming from the air around us. What's happening? Tyrath says, trying to hold back the pain. Has it been so long you've forgotten, old friend? I hear Eden's voice coming from the left. I turn around to see the still water floating in the air next to us with his usual smile on his face. Eden, the dragon says. Just because these traps haven't been activated in more than a millennia does not mean they are out of function. Eden continues. The Lesathi of old were anything but shoddy craftsmen. This trap was just a bit out of tune, that's all. Luckily, your continuous use of flames and Barry's volcanoes were just enough to warm it up. As the two of them speak, the ground is shaking violently and the blue light is intensifying. You'll pay for this, both of you. I will not rest until I hunt you down. Nowhere on this continent will be safe for you ever again. Do you hear me? I will hunt you down. Wipe that smile off your face, you low-born little... All of the magic in the air gets unleashed in a single moment, and the dragon gets teleported away as the blue light disappears and the earthquake slowly stops. The energy from my device is gone. I could sense it disappear the moment the dragon was teleported away. Eden turns back to me. Well done, Barry. You have far exceeded my expectations. What just happened? Or who are the Lesathi? I'm gonna go with what just happened. What just happened? I'm sorry for your duel, Barry. I'm afraid you'll have to resume it some other time. Tyrath was caught in an old dragon trap that's been around for a few thousand years. The trap was supposed to get activated at the first sign of flames, but since it's been at least 1,000 years since it was last used, its mechanism was a little rusty. That's why it needed some warming up before it could get triggered. That discharge of energy from the trap must have surely fried your stat device, but don't worry. It'll recover in a few minutes with all of your previous stats. What did the trap do to the dragon? It transported him to a dragon prison on this island. Since I doubt there's anyone actually guarding it at this point, I imagine. Since I doubt there's anyone actually guarding it at this point, I imagine that he won't have much trouble escaping. But even so, he'll have to destroy the prison's automatic defenses, and he'll have to travel all the way back here. So it should be at least a few days before he comes back. Eden! Eden! Shouts Darren as he comes closer to us. What are you doing here? Wait, I don't understand. Isn't he your friend? Rose asks us. That's what I thought, but it seems I was mistaken, Eden says, feigning sadness. He then turns to leave. No, wait, don't go, Rose calls out to him. I'm sure Darren didn't mean what he said. I thank you for your kindness, Rose, but I can tell when I'm not wanted. I bid you farewell. He then starts fading away and teleports out of our sight. Or did he? After seeing how well he could mask his presence before, I'm starting to wonder. It's a bit creepy knowing that he could just be standing there, invisible and untraceable, listening to everything we say. We really need to find some way to detect these kinds of things. Darren, how could you possibly do this to your friend? That was horrible, Rose says. Yeah, Darren, you should be ashamed of yourself. Calm down, Rose. It's not as simple as that. Ask Kate to freeze the whole area, or ask Kate to freeze the whole area to make sure Eden isn't around anymore. I'm gonna go with Kate, could you freeze the whole area around us? I want to make sure that Eden isn't hiding around us invisibly and listening to what we're saying. Kate nods and she sends a powerful wave of freezing magic all around us. The air has suddenly gotten a lot chillier and all of the trees now look like they're made of crystal, but there's no sign of the still water. Even if he got to block Kate's attack, we would still have sensed at least some magical power coming from him if he were still here. I guess he really did just teleport away after all. I don't understand, Rose says. What's gotten into everyone? Eden saved all of our lives. I saw it happen before my eyes. We all would have been dead if not for him. He's the one that gave Barry all of those powers that allowed him to fight the dragon. Why are you acting like he's our enemy? It's because he is our enemy, Kate tells her bluntly. 1 second. It's because he is our enemy, Kate tells her bluntly. When we first met him this morning, he tried to kill Darren outright and ultimately decided against it on a whim. If what you're saying is true and he really did save all of our lives, I am inclined to believe that this was also a decision he made on a whim. What was the motivation he gave for saving the four of us? Kate's rebuttal made Kate lose a bit of her steam. She pauses. He said that he couldn't let the dragon win after having gloated like a villain from a children's storybook. Well, there you have it. But never mind Eden's intention. What I'm most interested in knowing is how you both got to interact with him in the middle of our fight when neither me nor Darren saw him appear until the end of the battle. He froze time, I tell her. Froze time? Darren asks, perplexed. How is that even possible? Beats me. He just snapped his fingers and made time stop for everyone, except for me and him. Wait, what about Rose? Kate asks. He said that I am able to resist his spell because I'm a time weaver. Rose answers her. What the hell is a time weaver? Kate says. He didn't tell us, but judging by the name, I'd say it's a person that can use time-altering magic. I tell her, Rose, Did you start feeling any different after having withstood Eden's spell? Darren asks her. No, I feel exactly the same as I did before. I think he was mistaken. I can't have time powers. His spell must have just malfunctioned, that's all. Perhaps you're right, Darren says. At any rate, we should be thankful enough that we have somehow managed to make it out of this alive. I have heard stories about how dangerous this place was, but I never imagined that it would be as bad as this. We're all in terrible shape. Here, let me start casting some healing spells. Once Darren finishes healing us all, we waste no more time and resume our journey in order to avoid meeting any mages or creatures that may have been attracted by the loud noises of our previous battle. I still don't understand one thing, Barry, Kate tells me as we walk side by side. How did Eden manage to give you all of those powers? As far as I know, transferring powers between mages is impossible without some kind of tool to assist them. Oh, he used my stat device. I'm not sure exactly what he did, but he made it start glowing, and then I suddenly got all of those spells. I've tried playing around with the stat booster ever since in order to see if I could unlock some secret options or something, but I couldn't figure out how he did it. Wait, you're saying you got all of those powers through your stat device? No, that's impossible. In order for that to work, you'd need to have even less magical power than a human. Otherwise, it wouldn't match at all with the magical frequency of the device. She pauses. Actually, come to think of it, your magical aura has always been weaker than that of a normal human. Very weak. Very weak, in fact. Almost as if you were a... Kate suddenly stops in her tracks and looks straight at me. The look in her eyes is slowly turning to one of both sheer terror and sudden understanding. Then her look becomes darker than I've ever seen it before, and she continues to look me straight in the eyes. Almost if I were a... what? Never mind. It wasn't important. Let's catch up with the others, we're lagging behind. The tone in her voice is as cold as her freezing magic. She does not say another word to me and goes to catch up with Darren and Rose. Great. Just what we needed. More underlying conflict in our group. I'm sure this can only end well for everyone. Next chapter. Alright, well that's the beginning of chapter 7. Since it is late and I'm gonna call it here. Alright. I hope that everyone who stuck around or joined to hear me read enjoyed that. I'm sorry that there were so many technical difficulties at the beginning. I don't know exactly what happened, but hopefully next time it doesn't do that again. Considering I'm planning on replaying this multiple times to get all of the different paths anyways, it's not a huge deal that I had to restart this chapter, or restart from the save slot that I managed to get back. But it is now... Thank you for the hydrate, Misfit. So I guess tomorrow/today is Thursday, which means on my schedule would be the game that I finished. So I'm still deciding what I'm gonna do. Might just go straight into Jackbox, might read more, might play one of the other 2 games that I have. The world is my oyster. So, yeah. This has been a really good stream. Thank you for everyone that has hung out and listened. I've had a really good time tonight, and I hope that everyone else did too. So, yeah, Have a good night or day or whatever it is, wherever you are. Hopefully, I'll see you again. See you next time. Bye.